Hello everyone, Berinina Jeff at High Fashion Sewing Machines and Quilt Shop here in Grand Junction, Colorado. I am going to kind of convey one of my little pet peeves. I am known as the bobbin enforcer. So every machine is engineered to use a specific bobbin. Bernina's, the 7 series, use these nice big ones, the oversized jumbo bobbins. Baby locks use a specific bobbin that has a little bit of taper on the top, and Genomes use their own bobbin, Singers use their own bobbin. So you need to be bobbin specific with your machine. I will lecture you if you have the wrong bobbin in, because you're not going to get the stitch you're expecting. It may jam up and cause a needle break. It may cause the threads to nest underneath your fabric. So there is engineering in every bobbin, and they're engineered specifically for a machine. I looked on Amazon today, and if you type in Bernina bobbin, there are knockoff bobbins for the 7 series. They are not Bernina bobbins. I talked to a technician. He spent several hours and had to charge the customer because the customer had bought knockoff bobbins that look exactly the same. I looked underneath the magnifying glass at these bobbins, and the knockoffs look exactly the same. But there's something different on the outside diameter or the inside diameter, and 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10 will not work in your machine and cause a jam. It might cause needle breakage. It could cause damage to your machine. So don't save $5 and buy these off-brand bobbins. Only buy Bernina bobbins. They only come in 2 ways for the 7 series. They come in a 25 pack like this, and if you buy this 25 pack, you're basically getting the holder for free. And they also come in the 5 pack like this with the red cap, and it will say, it'll have a Bernina logo on the side here. This is the way Bernina bobbins come. They don't come any other way. If you're buying 2 at a time or 10 at a time, they're potentially not a Bernina bobbin. So this is one of my things that you need to have the right bobbin if you expect your machine to perform properly. The next I'm going to go into is how to test your own tension. I kind of got into this because the person that told me about these knockoff bobbins said that the bobbin would tension out right. And I'm going to show you how a technician tests the tension. We have a special tool that we get from Bernina, and we take a bobbin with special thread on it. This has special DMC thread on it. It's a special weight thread, and it's the baseline. Then we take a bobbin case, put the bobbin in properly, snap it in there, and then we put the tool on here and snap it in. This is the same tool as what holds it in, and when you put this tool on, it's supposed to not drop until you put a 5-gram weight on there. So my weight is right over here. There's a 5-gram weight, so I put it on here. It's a magnet. And now when I drop it, see, it's dropping very slowly. So that means that has the proper tension on it, spinning because of the twist in the thread. So that's dropping very slowly. So every time I bring in a machine, every time I sew in a machine that even comes from the factory, I test it with this thread. I tend to maybe spend a little more time than they would do at the factory line. So this particular thread, I don't sew with. I just use it for the baseline. I will test sew sometimes. The other thing the factory does, and if you get a brand new machine from your dealer and you open it up, raise the needle, and it's still attached to the bobbin. See the white bobbin thread, this is the factory sew out. The factory sews and tests every machine. They put red thread on the top, white thread on the bobbin, and I believe this is a Mettler thread. And they test it. If this doesn't test out, they'll go and put it back through and make sure all your adjustments are right. So this particular test, you can see a little of the red and the white. This is how they do their testing out. This is attached. If you happen to get your machine and it's attached, your dealer didn't do all the jobs that they are required to do by Bernina. Bernina requires the dealer to sew in every machine. There is a whole list of about 30 items that I do on every machine to sew them in before the dealer or before the consumer takes them home. So if this little guy is still attached, I would beware of your dealer that they are cutting corners, and they should be doing their whole job. Now, I may get some comments from dealers that they don't have enough time to do this, but if they look at their contract by Berinina, that's what you're supposed to do. So now let's get into tension. Let's say you are sewing and you just don't like the quality of the tension, and you don't know how to adjust your tension. You don't have this special tool and such. So I'm going to give you some at-home tips on how to test the tension on your machine. I've been working on this machine for about an hour this morning, and I found some little tricks and tips I can show you on getting a good quality stitch. So first off, we're going to load a bobbin properly. So we're going to remove the thread on here. Always snip there. And I'm going to find 2 spools of thread that are exactly the same brand and the same number. So this is exactly the same brand of thread. It's Mettler, and it's a cotton thread, and it's the same product number. They're just different colors. I want that so I can put one on the bobbin, one on top, and test the tension, be able to see it. So I am going to fill the bobbin with the darker gray, and it's always good to review the proper way to fill a bobbin. You want to have the spongy side down, put the thread against it, put the smallest. If the top of your spool is smooth and it's cross-wound, get the small little mini spool holder. I've been selling hundreds of those lately. Now, you come over here. Oh, I have I call it the must-have 7 guide on this machine. This keeps the thread from ever popping out of this extra pre-tensioner. And the way you use it is you just pop it through there and around here. Now it's ready to thread through for sewing or thread through for bobbin winding. So we're going to wind this bobbin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7's the magic number. Pop that over, and the default is 62 on the speed. I'm just going to fill this up a little bit and stop it. Now when I want to remove this, there's a razor blade on the back of this bobbin starter unit, and I just hit it that way. Now if you want to purchase this 7 guide, I sell them here, and you can go to my Shopify and purchase them. And how do you put them on is very, very simple. With your machine came this L-shaped 20 Torx tool. It looks like a star on the end. And right behind here is a screw. I've already undone most of the screw. So you take the screw out and you put this on with the funnel side going toward the thread. See, there's a little funnel side. It will only fit in one way. If you try to put it in this way, it won't go all the way in, and you think the screw's too short. So you swing it to where the flat side is toward the guide and the tall side is toward the thread. And then you just screw that back in, and you have a thread guide that you throw it through there and through the pre-tensioner, and it'll never pop out. Everybody's been very pleased that has purchased those so far. All right, so I'm going to take the thread off for the bobbin winding, and I'm going to put the same exact brand and size of thread on there. This is a cotton. And now to thread it, we're going to go through our guide, pre-tensioner, and I kind of like to hold this thread a little bit, up and around, to the right, to the left, down and around. Oh, another one of my favorite gadgets is I stick this thread cutter / holder on over here, right along the bottom to the front of that seam, and it will actually cut and hold the thread while I'm using the threader. So I'm going to bring my threader halfway down, wrap it around, push it in really snug, and watch this cut. It'll cut and hold it, and now the thread pops right behind the needle. So those are on my Shopify account too. I only sell gadgets that I'm going to help you sew better or relieve frustration that you might be having having. All right, so let's find my gray thread. So we're going to put this in the bobbin, pop it up the way it's supposed to be, install the bobbin case. And the best way to put this in without jamming it is one thumb at about 11 o'clock, the other thumb at 5 o'clock. Gently push it in until it clicks. If you push in the middle, you tend to always keep pushing on that latch, it pops in. If you push just with one thumb, you can jam it and have to pop it out with another video I show if you have a jammed bobbin case. There's a razor blade over here on this little protrusion. Trim that off. Now that thread is the right length to start sewing. All right, so I am going to clear what I have on here. I've got a 1C foot on. I've got the standard tension. I've got the 9mm plate on. And when you get a 7 series machine, they give you a 9mm sew out. So I'm going to do a 9mm sew out. So I'm going to use my upper stitch width knob. These are multi-function knobs. Make that a yellow 9. And my stitch length, I'm going to go to the left to 5.55. Now if I go to 0.50, it changes my tension. I don't want something, well, this one didn't. Some machines do. So I want it 0.55. That'll give me a stitch that I can look on both sides and see how my tension's doing. So now, what am I going to test on? I am going to test on 2 pieces of muslin or quilting cotton. And you can test on this, but I'm going to show you what happens if you test on just 2 pieces or 2 layers of fabric. It's called tunneling, at least that's what I call it. The fabric crunches between the 2 stitch points. So we're going to stitch about 1 inch or so. Hit stop, trim. And if you look, this fabric is tunneled or crunched in between there. But my tension's really nice. I have just a dot of red. And Berinina has set up their 9mm stitch to kind of look that way. And if you want it to not have any of the top thread showing on the underneath side, you would just increase your top tension, but you're going to create more tunneling. So it's what they have set up for their extreme. Now, what I did notice is when I do my test outs, I do a layer of fabric, I do a layer of stabilizer. This can be a stabilizer from embroidery. It could be an interfacing. It's just a tearaway type stabilizer like you would use if you're doing buttonholes or decorative stitch. So let's see what it looks like when we're sewing on the stabilizer. We're doing this to see if our bobbin tension and our top tension are within range and the way we like them. Now with this, if you notice, because the fabric is not tunneling, you're noticing a little red on one side and none on the other. And with the stabilizer, I noticed this on all the different widths of testing I was doing. So if I bring my width instead of 9 down to 5.0, it is even more noticeable. And I'll show you a workaround on this. If you want that perfect stitch on both sides, it can be done because Berininas are made to create and they have every option for your stitch quality adjustment. So if you look on the back side of this, you will notice you have a little dot of red on one side only. To help eliminate that, you would take, it's a 5.0, so we have room to go about 4 millimeters to the right. So I'm moving my needle position all the way to the right. So I'm going to sew in the right-hand side, and this is going to all but eliminate that back side showing. At least it did when I was practicing. Let's make sure it's not going to make me wrong. So you can barely see any red dots, and you can see red dots in there. So by moving that to the right-hand side, it has lined up the needle with the hook underneath. Now, because I'm Berinina Jeff, there is another workaround that if you don't want to move the middle of your foot, I'm going to put this back the needle position back to 0. And I learned this little trick. If you have a 710, a 750, or a 780, and you're having stitch quality issues, you take your perfect offset head tweezers, sell these too, and after you thread your bobbin, go right in between here. There's two little loops. Leave the bottom loop threaded, but unthread this top loop. And that particular maneuver will help what your stitch quality looks like. If you have a wonky straight stitch, try that. It'll probably straighten your straight stitch out. Now, it will actually straighten out it showing on one side as much as it did before. I asked Berinina technicians why that bobbin case was like that and why it had the little copper spring and stuff in there, and they really couldn't give me a definitive answer. I have a feeling it has to do with the thread cutter, because you may get some missed thread cuts by having it threaded that way. So again, we have almost 0. See how much red was showing over here? There's 0 thread showing over there with that extra little trick. So not something I came up with, it's just something I remember, and I learned these little things to pass on to you for stitch quality. Now if I go to my straight stitch with it threaded like that, it is probably one of the prettiest stitches I've seen in a long time for a 9mm machine. Whether you should always do that, I have not talked to any technician, but look at how perfectly straight that stitch is. The back side looks perfectly straight. So if you're wanting that extra little look, try doing that on the bobbin case trick, and may help you out for some frustrations. Again, one other gadget I love are these curved Havel scissors. I've got them back in stock. The reason I love them is I have pretty good fingers. I mean, they're man-sized fingers. So if you grab a little pair of scissors, you're taking the hand off to drop them. So I can grab these and lay them down. The other thing I like is they're great in a hoop if you're trimming, or if you're look at how I can just trim all these. Because of the angle on them, I can get close to my fabric without snagging anything. So 5.5-inch curved Havel scissors. All right, so thank you very much. It's been Berinina Jeff. Please visit my Shopify account, which is berinina-jeff.myshopify.com. Call the store. We open at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time, whatever it is this time of year. And that is 970-256-1293. I have myself and staff to take your orders or answer your questions. Or you can email me at J as in Jeff, Peter, P as in Peter, V as in Victor, Lefty. So that's jpvlefty@aol.com. It's in the descriptions down below. So I have all this. And if you want to check out my website, it's www.hifashiongjj.com. Thanks very much, and please subscribe.